I did a reality TV show pilot called Go Big or Stay Home, and I won't bore you with the details, but it was an amazing experience. The show never took off. It was sponsored by Discovery Channel. They flew us out to Lake Tahoe. I was the host of the show, and I've never done this before. They had a huge set of people there, cameramen. There was like 7 or 8 cameramen, lighting people, sound people. There were people just to put makeup on. Like, oh, you got a little spot there and stuff. And they literally have that chair you sit in that has the word host on the back, and they have a fan blowing on you. It's like that redonkulous. And I go there, I'm like, this is the most amazing experience. And the best part was every single person had a nickname. You know, there was Big Jimmy, Susie Q, everyone had a nickname. And someone says to me, do you want a Starbucks? And my ego, at this point, is like huge. I'm like, of course I want a Starbucks. Yeah, I'm in my host chair. And they come back with a coffee container, and they assigned me a nickname, Hoss, Hoss. I'm like, yes, I'm the Hoss, right? So ego goes up even higher. And I go to the executive producer there. I said, hey, man, this is really cool. Thanks for calling me the Hoss. And he says, that doesn't say Hoss. It says host. And he looked at me because he goes, no one knows what the fuck your name is. So that beat my ego back down. I deserved it. You know what's so funny is the concept of instinct. Have you ever walked down like an alleyway or you're in a situation and that spidey sense starts going off? You're like, whoa, I should not be here. And you turn around or you leave a situation. I suspect that instinct probably saved your life or saved you from harm or saved you from something. Instinct is very valuable when it comes to ourselves. Because every sense we have is wired into ourselves. Our eyes, our hearing, all senses, touch, is physically wired in through this magnificent network of nerves causing these sensations. Our instincts are very trustworthy until it comes to business. And yet we say we trust our gut all the time. Oh, my gut says do this, my gut says do that. But think about it, we're not hardwired into our business like we're hardwired into ourselves. Our eyes are not connected to our business. Our business could be 10, 20, 50 employees, all these different moving parts. We're not hardwired into it, yet we revert to trusting our instincts and how we should grow our business. And that's a mistake. What I want to share with you today is I've discovered a model. I'm going to be writing about it in a new book at some point, but I want to be, you're going to be the first audience to hear this, a new model I've developed that replaces that gut instinct. I don't think our instinct is 100% wrong, but I think it's often misguided. I suspect many businesses in here, at times, perhaps even today, take 2 steps forward and then 2 steps back, and 3 steps forward and 5 steps back. And it gets so frustrating because we're trusting our gut. I was trusting my gut recently. I'm an author. That's my full-time profession. Part-time Hulk on the side. Thank you. And I trust my instinct. And I know that one of the most important things, actually the most important thing I do is write books. So I'm maniacally every morning writing books. And a call came in about 3 weeks ago now, and my colleague comes up to me, and she says, Mike, you have a call from a guy named Gary Keller. And I'm like that's whoever, send him the voicemail, because my gut says right, baby, right. Thank God, I looked just momentarily at the side of my desk as I was typing, and I have a book I'm reading. I'm a ravenous reader. I love reading business books. And there's this book called The One Thing. Has anyone ever heard of The One Thing? Okay, do you know who wrote that book? Gary freaking Keller. And I see the name Gary Keller, and it hits me. I was like, no way. I got to check my voicemail. So I checked the voicemail, and it's like, you have 47 unlistened to messages. Delete. 2 hours later, delete. Okay, I get to Gary's message. And it's like, hey, it's Gary. I'm the author of a book called The One Thing. I discovered your newest book called Profit First, and I thought about we should implement this at our office. Would you please give me a call? Well, this is a 911. I pick up the phone, and I'm thinking, he's an author. He's a very successful author. He probably has 10, 15 people just caring for his authorship work. And I would be honored to teach him and his team Profit First, because maybe they can use it and embrace it. So I call him right back. Gary picks up the phone, and he says, yeah, we're looking at implementing in our business. I said, it's fantastic. I said, tell me a little bit about your business. He said, we're a real estate agency called Keller Williams. So apparently, Gary Keller is also Gary Keller, the founder of Keller freaking Williams. He says, I'd like to fly you down to meet with our team. And I'm thinking, wow, Keller Williams, I recognize that name. They're pretty big. That office must have 100, 200 people. So I said, Gary, how many people there want to learn it? He said, our entire office. I said, what's it, about 100? He goes, no. It's actually 185,000 people I want to teach this to. Keller Williams has 180,000 agents. They flew me down last week. I was in Austin, Texas, to meet with Keller Williams, met with the executive board, 70 people, taught them Profit First, and got executive board approval last week to roll out Profit First to 185,000 people. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Actually, I really appreciate it. The executive team did the same thing. They applauded when Gary said, we're going to go for a vote, are we going to roll out Profit First? They applauded. I wet my pants. I was like, it is the biggest potential opportunity of my lifetime. And thank God I didn't trust my instinct of just disregard whoever this is, because I got to do what my gut says. Sometimes our gut is not accurate. So what I want to share with you is a strategy I've developed that is a compass for your business. Something that I think will help override your gut at times and put you in a better spot. What it's based upon is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Is anyone familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs here? Okay. Of course you are, Tersh, because you're my boy. Maslow was studying human needs. This is back, I think, 70, 80 years ago, and found that there is a structure of needs that we have that must be addressed in a specific sequence. It ultimately became this pyramid hierarchy, and this isn't going to be exactly how it's drawn out, but basically, at the core level, we have what's called physiological needs. Oxygen would be a great example. Oxygen is such a priority for our lives that if we have a lack of oxygen, nothing else matters, right? You could be listening to this presentation and saying, I'm getting great ideas, hopefully you will, and all of a sudden there's a fire and the oxygen starts going out of this room and we're at risk. We're not going to sit in here and keep going. We're going to get the hell out of this room. We're going to revert to the base need. The next level up would be food and water, for example. And what Maslow is arguing here is if you're starving to death, you're going to revert to trying to consume food and water. But if all of a sudden you start choking on that food, you're not going to keep eating even though you're starving to death. You'll revert back to the base need, which is oxygen. You're going to start trying to get that thing dislodged from your throat. So our bodies are automatically wired to revert to our core need. If you continue up, shelter is next, love and belonging is next, and the highest level he calls is self-actualization. And now this is not a perfect representation of his chart, but it's something like this. You know, you need a roof over your head for protection, but if you can't breathe, again, we always revert back to our base need. The foundational needs must be addressed for us to scale up. And at all times, we're always going up and down this chart with the intention of moving up as long as the base needs are met. Well, I heard about this hierarchy of needs for humanity. I said, what if there's a hierarchy of needs for business? And that's what I think I've discovered and want to share with you this morning. Nice? Awesome. Nice. Don't you guys have those buttons you slap, like the cha-ching buttons? I just earned, yeah, that's right, brother. That is right. All right. So there's a hierarchy of needs for business. And I discovered an existing established belief, which I actually no longer believe is true. It used to be that if you hit certain revenue numbers, your business would experience certain changes. You achieve that first, $1 million, you'll have to hire, your first executive person. You hit 5 million, systems become important. And I think that was a great model in yesteryear. The problem with today is businesses are growing much differently. There's so much automation and online technology, and hopefully you're using funnels and Infusionsoft and these different things that we can actually grow revenues very quickly without having to grow staff and other elements of our business. I think it's time for a new hierarchy. So what I want to introduce you to, and we're going to go through, is called the entrepreneurial hierarchy of needs. And it looks like this. Same thing, it's based upon Maslow, so there are 5 levels. But I believe the base need for every business, the oxygen equivalent, is sales. If you don't have sales coming into your business, you don't have the oxygen for your business. Sales is the inbound source of cash flow. It's the only way to create money. There's a problem with sales. Most people don't understand what sales really is. I didn't understand it. I thought sales was the handshake. I thought leaving Keller Williams a week ago with the executive board clapping and me seeking a new pair of pants, I thought that moment the sale was done. The sale is not done at the agreement. The sale is done at the conclusion of serving the agreement. And the agreement's two components. The person buying is usually going to provide money, maybe it's more of a form of trade, but Keller Williams is going to give me money. But I also have an obligation to give my service to them. And only at the successful completion of our agreement is the transaction done. I mean, Keller could give me a chunk of money and I don't do the work. They'll probably sue me or try to claw back that money in some way. Or I could do the work and they never pay me. I would probably sue them. The sale is only done when the entire agreement is fulfilled. And sadly, many people don't understand it. Actually, I found many salespeople don't understand that. The second the handshake's there, it's like, we got the sale, hit the bing button. Only when everything is delivered. The next level up is called profit. Yeah, that's right, brother. Whoever chinged on that one, you're awesome. Mike Aguilera owes you money. Here's how it works. Profit is the substance, the sustainability of a business. And it is sad. I have found, through my research and reading some reports from the SBA, that 83% of businesses, the vast majority of businesses, probably businesses in here, never get out of the base level need. We keep on gasping for oxygen. Most businesses say, for me to grow, I need more sales. I'm not profitable. The only way to fix that is more sales. Sales, 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 sales. Instead of setting up a system to assure profitability, we go back to sales. You'll understand profit, and we're going to talk about it today, once you understand that profit is not an event. It's not something that's going to happen if you have enough sales. Profit is a habit. It's something we're going to bake into every single stinking transaction your business has starting today. All right? That's what profit is. Next level up is called order. We're going to talk about that today too. Order is when your business can run in your absence, fully in your absence. If you can attract prospects, convert them to customers, deliver your services, be extremely profitable, have the clients wowed, even referring you to friends without requesting for referrals, all while you're sleeping, that's the definition of true efficiency, true order in a business. Next level up is called impact. Impact is where you realize that you're not in business for transactions, you're in business for transformation. Sadly, about only 2% of businesses, I believe, in the world ever get to the impact stage where they realize we're not trying to make money, we're trying to transform people's lives, and we can all do it through any kind of business. It doesn't matter what you do, you have to realize that your business is designated as a transformational experience. We are not selling a service or product, we are selling emotion. How does the customer feel at the end? Do they feel transformed? And the highest level, and I would say about 0.1% of businesses get here, is what's called legacy. And legacy is the day you realize the business was never about you in the first place. You were just a steward. You was all you were. You were a steward. And that you are here on this planet to leave a business that will continue to impact lives well beyond your participation in that business. That's what legacy is. So let's go through this model. I took a couple notes because I wanted to do special highlights. This isn't a speech that I've ever delivered before, so I just want to make sure I hit every single thing. The first thing we're going to talk about is the base level sales. And what I want to talk about first is part of sales is the marketing. So people say, well, where do you put marketing? Part of sales is attracting customers. Part of sales is the delivery of your products. And part of sales that almost no one addresses is tying in sales objectives to our personal desires. That's the base foundation. You know, most sales objectives are arbitrary. I want to do $1 million. My first business, when I started, I was in computer network systems, selling computer systems. I said, when I hit $250,000, I'll be making $250,000. Okay? Oh yeah, thanks for laughing, because you know what's coming. I was making squat-ola, right? Then I said, oh, clearly the number is 500. Everyone knows it's $500,000. And once my business got to $500,000, I had to actually invest $50,000 to keep that fucking thing afloat. And then I was like, oh, it's $1 million. It's the magic $1 million. Once you hit that first $1 million, that's when you've nailed it. And when we finally got to $1 million, I'd refinanced my business and my house twice to cover payroll. I hated my business. I loathed it. And I said, but maybe it's 2 or 5 million. It's none of those things. Arbitrary numbers are purely ego-based. In fact, you have to understand this about revenue. The more we grow revenue, the more stress we're putting on the organization. Because think about it, revenue translates to obligation. Everything you sell, you have to deliver on. So the more we sell, the more stress we're putting on our organization. The quotient or the solution or the balance to that is profit. And we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. But the first thing we need to do with sales is stop making arbitrary sales goals. We need to make sales goals that speak to us, that's highly compelling. What I did was I looked at my own numbers, my own life. What supports my level of comfort? And I think that's the starting point. Ask yourself that question. What provides for my current level of comfort? And then back translate that into what kind of sales does the organization really need to sustain my comfort? Then once you get to that comfort factor, I know it's going to happen. I've been through it. I suspect many people have been through it. Then the standard for your comfort level increases. I want that nice, beach house or whatever the thing is that's next level up for you. And then that's when the sales number change. So the first thing is understand what you desire and then translate that into what the business needs to do to sustain what you desire. That becomes compelling and far less arbitrary. But then I did something, I even did this recently, and it was kind of funny. So one of my businesses, the target is $5 million. We just surpassed 2.4 in our third year, and we're like, we're going to do $5 million. And I came out January 2nd, after the holidays, the start of the new year, gathered my colleagues. There's 14 of us in the office, and I came out. We had a nice board up there. I did the whole Hulk thing, and I'm like, I got big news. I got the sales goal. I got the revenue goal of the century, and we're going to nail this. We're going to do $5 million this year. Who wants it? And that was the response. Thank you. Total silence from my employees. And like, oh, we didn't crank up the music loud enough. Let's put on some Foo Fighters. Who wants it? And there's that one obligatory clap in the back. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. No one fucking cares about the sales goals except for the owner of the business. And if we go around telling our colleagues how amazing business is going to be, how big we're going to get it, what they're thinking is, oh, nice. So you're going to get a new car, Mike? Okay, that sounds real compelling. Here's what I found drives sales for everybody, is when you understand your colleagues' goals and visions, their personal dreams. Do you know them? Could you go employee by employee and say what their personal dream is? 6 months ago, I couldn't. I love those cha-chings. Can I have one of those cha-chingers? Is there an extra one? Because I want to cha-ching myself. Mike, you're amazing. Thank you. Thank you. I'll be wearing that belt in a few minutes. So I went employee by employee, colleague by colleague, and just asked them their own dreams. Amy, one of my colleagues, she works part-time. She is remarkable. I asked her, I said, Amy, why are you here? What do you want? And she said, Mike, it's kind of funny. I joined this company because my home is right down the street. I've always had a desire to be able to walk to business. It's a 5-minute walk in Boonton, New Jersey, where we're based out of. And she goes, I also want flexibility. I wanted a part-time job because when my husband comes home, he travels a lot, or my children who are in college come home, it's sometimes unexpected. They just kind of pop in. I wanted the ability to walk right home from work. I wanted to be able to call out from work while I'm at work. I wanted to call in sick while I'm here. I said, oh, that's your dream? It's not about the money? It's not about getting rich? She goes, no. I want flexibility. And so what we did is we made sure Amy has the most flexible job responsibilities ever. She can come in whenever she wants, and she has a specific schedule that we expect her, but she has the primary responsibility for herself is that when she can't or doesn't desire to come in because her family wants her or she wants to be with her family, to call out on the spot, and it doesn't hurt us. Amy loves the job. She sat down with me, this is about 2 weeks ago, in tears, saying I have the greatest job in the world at $10 an hour, part-time. It is not about this big sales objective for the company. It's about their individual dreams. And I can go through every single colleague I have at the office and share the same thing. What are the goals for your colleagues? Okay, let's make sure I cover everything here. Okay. How do you draw on sales? How do you attract people to you, the marketing component? I believe that being better, who here, but just show your hands, who's better than the competition? Just raise your hands, nice and high if you are. Why is not everyone fucking raising their hand, right? Like, some person's like, oh, don't even look at me, I'm so shitty. Everyone kicks my ass, right? Like, you better fucking raise your hand. You better be better than the competition. Do you know that's the standard? If I invited your competitors in here, they would say, we're way fucking better than these assholes. So you better be saying the same thing. But here's the problem with better. Everybody's better, and you are better than the competition, and they are better than you in different ways. The opportunity is not to be better. Listen, if you call my service hotline and I answer the phone in 2 rings, you'll beat me by answering the phone in 1 ring. But the customer won't notice. The customer won't notice. That's the problem. Better is actually not better. Better is expected. Different is better. How are you different than the competition? I don't know if you remember history class from, I got to cha-ching myself on that because that was fucking awesome. There we go. Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. I can out cha-ching you. So I'm getting ready to cha-ching it because the good one's coming. Do you remember from history class, maybe in 3rd grade, when the science teacher talked about cavemen, cave women, cave people? Is that the politically correct term now, cave people? There's the hunters and the gatherers. And the hunters, they were cave people. And what they would do is they would go very carefully and slowly through the woods in small packs, seeking out the food. They had to feed the tribes. But their minds were wired in a very specific way. If they stepped on leaves or crunched on branches, it was a familiar sound. So their minds were wired to ignore the familiar. More crunching leaves is nothing, and if it's louder, if it happens faster, if it's better, so to speak, it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't get noticed because they expect it. It was when they heard something unexpected, something different, hoof prints running through, a screech they never heard before, that all of those hunters would freeze to pay absolute attention to that noise, because that could be their dinner or they could be dinner. When something different presented itself to the caveman mind was wired to pay absolute attention to it because it's a threat or it's an opportunity or it's something that can be disregarded. But it has to be qualified because they don't know. Now let's look at the other cave people, the cave women, or as in New Jersey we call them cave chicks. And the cave chicks would go around and they would look for vegetation. And sometimes, they would see a new berry, that red berry that looks so delectable and so perfect. And the cave women wouldn't go running and start consuming it. They were collecting vegetation for the tribe, but it was different. They'd never seen it before. So what happened? Well, their minds were wired identically. Cave women, cavemen, exact same wiring. When something different presented itself, they had to pay absolute attention to it. They had to say, is that going to feed the tribe? Or perhaps it's poisonous and could kill the tribe. So they went through a process. They'd first actually touch the berry and rub it on their skin to see if there was a rash or skin reaction. They'd dab it on their tongue, checking for numbness. Then they'd take a small bite, just to qualify it. Was it nutritious or poisonous? And once they qualified it, they would take it. The cave woman and the caveman, their minds were wired to pay absolute attention to something that's different so you can qualify it. And I know you're not going to be surprised by this. Our minds haven't changed much. Yes, society has gone lightning speed, but our minds, it's called the reptilian mind, is still the same. When something different and unexpected presents itself, our mind cannot help itself but look and take notice to qualify an opportunity, a threat, or more of the same. If someone comes walking through one of these doors nice and loud and walks in, all of us will go shink and pay absolute attention to it. We can't stop ourselves. And your clients can't either. And your prospects can't either. What are you doing that's different? Because I will guarantee you this with different. Different will always get noticed. I just got to ching myself because that was fucking awesome. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Mike. Yeah. What are you doing that's different? If you want to get noticed, I'll guarantee you, do something that's different. But you got to use a very specific strategy around different because different is also a risk. If you are different, it's 3 steps. The first step is D. If you are D, it actually is an acronym, DAD. That's an easy one to remember. Picture your dad. That's how you can use the mnemonic. Unless your dad was a creep, then don't picture your dad. Picture someone else's. But the first step is being different. Do something that no one else does, and you'll get noticed. Step 1. Step 2 is, does it attract or does it repulse? Listen, you could say, I got something that no one in the service industry has ever done. Every one of our team is going to wear a Bozo the Clown costume when they're working. Yucca, yucca, they come walking in with the big fucking collar and that spraying flour, right? Trust me, everyone will notice. And trust me, you'll get no business, right? Because clowns are scary. Different will get people to pay attention, saying it's opportunity or a threat. You have to do something that's attractive to them and makes sense. Stand out in a way that is compelling and attracts them. I worked with a company that sold security services. And is anyone here from New York City or the New York City area? Okay, so next time you go into New York, and if you all get a chance to visit New York City, you'll see every single building, it's mandated, has a security guard at the elevators. And when you come in, it's mandated by law since 9/11. And back in 2008, we went through this great economic decline. I suspect it affected many people in this room. It also affected building owners. The occupancy rate started to drop. People couldn't afford to rent there anymore, so they were moving out. So if you owned a building, you were losing money. They had like 50% occupancy rates. One thing you do when you start losing money is you got to cut costs. So the building owners were calling on the security companies and saying, you got to do it cheaper. And this little security company that called me, they were so tiny, they had 100 employees, they couldn't afford to cut costs. They were charging maybe $17 or $18 an hour to their clients, and they were paying their employees $12 to $13 an hour, plus they had overhead. The margins were razor thin. They couldn't afford to cut. But the big juggernauts who had thousands and thousands of security guards, they could cut by 5 or 10%, and it wouldn't kill them. So the security company called me and said, what do we do? And we used the dad strategy. We said, okay, first thing we got to do is different. And when you're analyzing, at least as an outside consultant in this case, you first do what's called a test. And I went into the lobby, pretending the stage is the lobby. Right here, we'll say, is the elevator shaft. They had a guy, his name was Frank, he was the security guard. He just stood there all day long in this nondescript blue uniform. And what I did is I sat over here behind this, it was like a big vase or something, in the side, just watching people come in, which is very creepy. I get it. And so I'm sitting there watching people come in. And I remember the first guy comes in, clearly from New Jersey. I called him Loudmouth Tony because everyone from New Jersey is named Tony. I'm from Jersey, so I can say that joke. So this guy comes in, and it was back when the Nextel flip phones were still popular, and he would be walking in, all Tonys walk like this. He's like, oh man, I had the best night last night, I was crushing it, and he goes walking in, he's talking to a buddy every single night, and I saw it for a full week, Loudmouth Tony coming in. I remember I called her Grandma, another woman coming in who had one of those walker things, and she'd walk in at about 1 mile per month. That was her speed, right? And she's coming in like this, and the elevator, the elevator would be opening and closing 100 times while she was walking through it. It was like smashing her, And so I'm sitting here watching this thing, and I'm watching Frank. Frank was the standard fare. He did great service. He was very meticulous in watching what's going on and protecting the building. He was probably better than most security guards. But better is not better. Different's better. So we decided to do something different. We changed his uniform. We put him in an Armani suit. Honestly, with our budget, it was not Armani. It was an Armani from China. But you know what I'm saying. So we put him in this Armani suit. We gave him a leather briefcase. We gave him sunglasses and one of those little plastic ear doohickey things. And I said, Frank, this is going to be your first acting career. Every time someone comes in, all I want you to do is to touch yourself real quick and just kind of whisper into your collar. Let's see what happens. So I go back to my spot over here. So this is a funny aside. There was a new app. I don't know if anyone has the app called Shake. I don't even think they make it anymore, but it used to make it for the iPhones. It was an app. What we did is we put an iPhone in Frank's back pocket, and I had an app with Shake, and what happens if you shake your phone, it has that shake function, it causes the other phone to vibrate. So I said, when someone's coming in, because I know you're not used to this, I'm going to shake it just to remind you to, touch yourself. So I'm behind this vase. In comes Loudmouth Tony, the first guy, and so I start shaking. I'm like this. I'm shaking, right? Tony comes in. He's like, I had the best night. After he's talking. Now picture this. I'm in the lobby, sitting there behind a vase, going like this, right? And I'm like. And Frank doesn't respond because he's never experienced this. He's like, what's going on? He just sits there. So then, I'm like, I guess I'm not shaking hard enough. So I'm like this. And it's fine. He's not doing anything. So I go, touch yourself! Touch yourself! I heard someone yell in the lobby, who's the fucking pervert? And I was the one who yelled it about myself. So that was weird. But finally Frank caught on. Frank catches on, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, and he does this. He pushes his ear, and he just whispers something. And Loudmouth Tony shut up on the spot. Loudmouth Tony all of a sudden noticed Frank, and he went, oh. He closed his flip phone, put his pocket, and the guy ran into the elevator. Didn't say a word. Next person came in was Grandma, 1 mile per month, coming in real slow. Frank is now, he's attuned to this. He sees Grandma, he's like, brr, brr, brr. All of a sudden that walking thing became like a pommel horse for the Olympics. She jumps over it. She starts bolting. I've never seen someone run so weirdly, but bolts into the elevator. Every single person that came in and saw Frank doing this with his leather case and sunglasses ran into the elevator. And we all know what was happening at the water coolers upstairs. The CIA is protecting this building. President Obama is going to be moving in here when he retires from office. The FBI clearly has their missile silo in this building. That's what they're saying. This place became the talk of the town. Now, fast forward, we did this stunt for about a month. We got a call from building management, and they said, hey, we know about your stunt you're doing downstairs. We knew we had to cut your costs. We told you about that. Sadly, we're going to have to actually remove you and terminate the relationship and rehire you as our marketing company. We want you to realize that we are the only building that we're aware of. The occupancy rate is climbing. We are the talk of the town. Everyone is talking about our business here and wanting to move in because there's something special going on. How much do we have to pay you to keep doing this? They moved us from the security budget to the marketing budget, and this company's rates tripled. You have to do something that's different and something that attracts customers, attracts attention. It makes sense. We could have put him in Yucko the Clown costume, and people have been freaking running away from that place. Do something that's different and is consistent with calling the person in. And the last thing is it needs to result in a decision. Now, I'm not saying a transaction. I'm simply saying to move forward to the next step. You have to do something that the customer notices, they feel compelled to move toward it, and then make a decision to oblige to whatever the next step is that you want them to do. Maybe it is the big sales call, or maybe it is just people talking. We wanted people to decide to talk about this building. That's all we wanted, and that happened. My own business, we have a pending failure that's coming up, sadly. What we did is, my team right now is off to a trade show, and we didn't go through this process. I just let them go. And that was a mistake because I didn't teach them this process. We have a booth at a big accounting event. That's one of the businesses I own going on. It's the biggest accounting event of the year, and we're trying to attract people to come. What we originally were going to do that was different is we help accountants generate profit, so we were going to have a piggy bank there, because that's kind of representative of it, but instead of a piggy bank, we were going to have a little pig. And the idea behind this little piglet was that it's different. There's never been at this event any live animals. It can cause attraction because they go, oh, how cute is that? And it brings you, what the decision we want people to make is simply to step toward the booth to pet this thing. We just want you to come toward our booth. Well, sometimes it's better to ask forgiveness than permission. Our team asked for permission, and the place said, live animal? Oh my God, everyone's going to die if there's a pig there. So they said, sorry, no live animal. So then the team said, oh, we'll just wear pig costumes. So I have my team, I think today, at a booth wearing pig costumes for an audience of accountants and bookkeepers, 80% women, and they're like, look, we're all pigs. It's different. I don't think any other booth is going to be there, but it is repulsive, and I don't think anyone's going to visit our booth. I'll find out, but I think we just made a grand mistake, and I don't think it moves people toward us. You look at the pigs in the distance, but you sure you don't want to get near them. Always put it through the dad. Always put it through the dad. That's how you attract people. All right, I'm going to cha-ching myself just so I can look at my notes here. Thank you, okay. Oh! You want to know a powerful technique? I just gave it to you just now, but I'll give you another one. It's called frequency. Do you know the most compelling way to make people trust you and want to work with you is, what? Did you say annoy them? Fuck no. That's the worst thing to do. I love it. Yeah, never give up. No, do not annoy him to that. That was the one thing. But it's actually interesting you made that point because it's actually similar. But not annoying. It's by using a technique called frequency. So one thing I love to study is behavioral principles. And this one principle is frequency. Here's how frequency works. The more frequently you see or experience something, anything, the more we inherently trust that thing. And it's hardwired into our caveman mind. Anyone watch the Olympics? Anyone? 3 people. 3 fucking people watch the Olympics. So the rest of you, it's this collection of amazing athletes from throughout the world. You guys fucking see this thing. Oh, they're going to be all jacked up. They'll be raising their hand. Yeah, right, Mike. All right. I know everyone watched the Olympics. You watch the Olympics, Michael Phelps wins like the billionth gold or whatever. Whoever, Bob Costas or something comes on and says, hey, we're going to go watch the gold ceremony in just a minute after this commercial break. And they break for the commercial. And that's when you see on the TV that perfect liter of Coca-Cola with that bead of sweat slowly dripping down the side as a polar bear hand reaches up and starts to drink the Coke, right? You've seen that commercial? Coke is not sitting there saying, oh, we want customers to run out and buy a Coke right now. And we as customers are not sitting there saying, I'm watching the Olympics without drinking a Coca-Cola. I need to run to the supermarket. No. What Coca-Cola is doing is a technique called frequency. All they want to do is us to see that liter of Coke, have a little positive, usually entertaining experience, polar bear drinking Coke, just that when we do desire a Coke or a soda, and you're in the supermarket and you see a liter of Coke and you see the liter of generic soda, they know we'll have a propensity to buy the Coke. You've seen the logo a million times. Our trust factor is increased. In fact, it's so wired into us that Coke is better. Now, here's the irony. Next time if you drink soda, try this taste test. Buy a generic liter of soda, buy a liter of Coke, and do a blind taste test and mix them up. The vast, vast, vast majority of the population cannot tell the difference. But when we see the Coke logo and then we drink the Coke, we're like, oh, this is amazing. There's hints of ginger in here. Yeah, you get all obnoxious, like, oh, is this a Cabernet or a Coke? I can't tell. This doesn't even fucking make sense. But here's the logic. Like it's the same stuff. It's carbonated water, caramel color, and lots of sugar. That's how you make soda. It's the same stuff, but we'll pay $1 or $2 more to get the Coke because it's better. And it happens through frequency. I know no one in this room has the budget of Coca-Cola. And the beautiful thing is you don't need it. You simply need to ask your best customers, where do they congregate? Where do they congregate? Go to your best customers. I'm going to give you a technique of finding your best customers in a minute. But go to your best customers, and don't use that word, where do you congregate? That sounds like all religious or something. Just go to your best customers and say, hey, where do you hang out? Because remember this, birds of a feather flock together. Is your best customer maybe a single mom? Is your best customer a gay couple? Is your best customer a particular religious faction? Find out. And then find out where they go. And simply appear there. Just be present. I did this for my own business. My first company, I told you, was in computer systems. My best customer was a hedge fund. I didn't know what a hedge fund was. But I went to the owner. I said, where do hedge funds hang out? He goes, we hang out at hedge fund conferences. I didn't even know they existed. I'm like, you don't go to the Chamber of Commerce where I go? He goes, no. He goes, we go to hedge fund conferences. So that day, I stopped going to the Chamber of Commerce. I went to Long Beach, California, and Greenwich, Connecticut, the only 2 conferences they have every single year. And I'd walk around and just meet people. And I was the only computer guy among hundreds of hedge funds. I wasn't a good salesperson. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no script. I just walk around. People say, oh, what hedge fund do you have? I don't have a hedge fund. I do computers. And I said, really? You are a hedge fund technologist? And I'm like, apparently so. And I started to win business. It literally is that easy. Where are your best customers and go there? Are they in pool clubs? Are they at a church or a temple? Are they at some clubs? That's where you need to be present. And I will tell you this, it's not about a sales script, it's just about being present and available to entertain, to be of service, to answer questions, because that's how trust is built. It's like Coca-Cola. I just want to share another story. Mike, when do I have till? 12:30? Longer? All day. Good. Because I basically am going to go all day, unless Mike tells me to stop. My second company was in computer crime investigation. My company did the investigation of the Enron trial for reals. Just so you know, we were defense. When there's a criminal trial, the government is prosecution. So all the forensic experts were the FBI and CIA. We were the defense for Kenneth Lay, Andrew Fastow. The evidence is no longer sequestered, by the way. I sold that company to a Fortune 500 about 12 years ago. And a lot of people now ask me about the case because the evidence is no longer sequestered. If you want to know about Enron, they were very guilty. And we were their defense. They got what they deserved. And I was happy. My company, because of that and some marquee cases we did, got noticed by a company called Robert Half International. It's a Fortune 500. They buy my company. Has anyone ever here sold a business? Anyone? Okay. Dan, Mike. Hey, Mike. Yeah. Mike, it is, Dan, for everyone, if you so desire to sell your business, and I hope you do, I wish it upon you. It was for me, probably the most significant day of my professional life. It's a big day. And what happens is you go through a dance. Oh, I'm spitting all over. You go through a dance. There are suitors, other companies that want to buy you. And if you get multiple companies involved, there's this big acquisition fest and numbers start going up. At the very end of this, we pick Robert Half International, and they select us, and they they drove out to New York City to meet for acquisition day. And I sat at a table that was, just to give you a demonstrative, and we're going to have to turn our heads, was longer than this room. So just picture this. The managing director was right here. If I can run back there real quick, Mike, without killing people. I'm sorry. Let me just go over this way. I'm sorry. Around. I'm just going to go over. Always do different. I'm sorry, sir. Yeah, don't touch my ass. Jesus. All right. So, and I'm back here, right? So the table is this far apart. John, the managing director, is on that side. I'm sitting back there. We're so far apart that he has one of these little microphone things like this with a button on it. A phone call comes in while we're in this meeting. All between us are the partners, all of the different people in nice suits that flew in for the event. John pushes down a button after hanging up the phone. He says, Mike, that was our legal department. I want to congratulate you. You are now part of Robert Half International. And all the partners, they do that bullshit. It's like seal clapping, like that shit, right? So I'm all the way up here. All right. I got to climb over you. I got to climb over one person. I'm just so sorry. This is awkward. I know, for both. Listen, it's more awkward for me. And I'm all the way up here. Right? This is not a business tip. Do not write this one down. So John does you're part of Robert Half International. The SEALs do their, I grab my microphone. I say, John, that's wonderful news, but pardon me, would you pass the Grey Poupon? Do not do that. No one laughed. One jackwad sits there and goes, John, this guy is a genius. Where is the mustard? I was fired within 1 year, just so you know. No surprise. And I would never work for a corporation again. It was the worst experience of my life. Their money was very nice, though. I was then escorted to my brand new office. Avenue of Americas, if you don't know what that is, that's where the big Christmas tree, Rockefeller Center is, overlooking it. I'm sitting there, and I start clicking, clacking away. My wife calls me, says, how's it going? I'm like, freaking happened. Best day of my life. I'm like, I'll probably be a little late tonight. And she goes, I'll probably be a little late too, because I'm going to Louis Vuitton right now. So the women will get that. I'm like, yeah. She deserved it. And so I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm going to be late because I think I need to put my best foot forward. The only time in my life that I've been an employee of a company, not own my own business. So I'm sitting there, clicking, clacking, 5 o'clock, people are still working, 6 o'clock. I'm like, oh my God, this corporate life is miserable. 7 o'clock, they're still working. Well, I didn't realize all these partners had flown in from different locations around the world. They don't have family to go home to, so you might as well burn the midnight oil. Well, it's 8 o'clock at night. I'm like, how much Tetris can I play? This has been 8 o'clock, the place finally clears out. I walk over to the elevator shaft in the building. I push the button to go down because the place is finally closing down. Up comes the elevator. Door opens. The scariest human being on the planet is in there. Do you know Freddy Krueger? Right? Freddy Krueger, right? This was This was the ugly brother of Freddy Krueger. Just to give you a sense. This guy's sitting in there in New York City. This was 2003 or 2004. He's sitting there like this, actually smoking a cigarette like a Krueger would, like this. First, we're in a building in New York City. I gotta hold my smoke in for a second. We're in a building in New York City where you can't smoke, and he looks at me and he blows the smoke in my face. He goes, and he goes, "Are you gonna get in?" And he throws the cigarette at my foot. Now, I know no one's sold a business here. Has anyone ever been in a professional environment where you're about to be murdered? So, if you haven't, this is what happens. I'm sitting there in front of the elevator, and my mind's split in half. Professional murder. And this side of the brain says, for God's sake, Mike, you are a professional. Walk into the elevator like a man. Okay. This side, the murder side of my brain, had a slightly higher voice. It says, for God's sake, you're about to get killed. Run as fast as you can, fairy ass. And when it happens, it's unbelievable. Your body does exactly what both sides of your brain says. So this side marched forward, and this side ran away. So when this guy goes, "You gonna get in the elevator?" and he throws that thing, I go, "Yes!" And I fell to my legs. And I walked into the elevator like this. Pathetic. And apparently, you don't get murdered when you do this. Because the elevator went down and he didn't kill me. I walk out, as you can tell, I survived it. Nothing happened. 2 days later, I'm doing a click, clack, Tetris, got fired. I walk to the elevator shaft, push the button, Krueger boy's in there again. "You gonna get in?" I expect he's not gonna kill me, so I hesitantly walk into the corner. Over a month, Krueger appeared probably 7 or 8 times. I saw him so frequently, by the 7th time, I bought him a pack of Camels. I'm like, "Hey, Krueger, smoke up on me. Just don't kill me." Here's the lesson. There was a lesson in there, believe it or not. The more frequently I saw Krueger, the more I inherently trusted him. It wasn't like we were, "Hey, let's go out for dinner together and throw back some steaks." But I trusted him and felt safer and safer every single transaction. Your business is not nearly as scary as Krueger Boy. And you can be just as effective as he was as a salesperson. Probably you're way more effective. Just appear and just present yourself. You don't have to be smooth. You don't need process. That definitely helps. But even if you're not comfortable with it, just you being present wins more business than anything else because it wins trust. Good. There was a couple. Jeez, I'm working my ass off for 3 rings. Yeah. At least the pay's great. That's my pay, all right? No, Mike's a great friend, so I do this free anytime for the last time. Okay, let's move on to the next level, profit. So here's the problem with most businesses, and I suspect it's happening in this room. This, if we equate it to Maslow's hierarchy, this was oxygen. That says oxygen. This is food and water. What I found is most businesses are starving to death. We're barely getting by. We have no money. We're wilting away. And so we say, we better make more sales. I mean, can you relate to that? When you're struggling, you got to make more sales? That's what most businesses do. But what we're saying, if we equate this to Maslow's hierarchy, we're saying the business is starving for food and water, so we're going to start gasping for air to survive. It makes no freaking sense. So many businesses are not profitable and say we're going to sell our way out of it. And what happens is expenses increase so rapidly that the business actually gets in deeper and deeper water. Profit is a habit. I'm going to show you in a few minutes of how to make your business permanently profitable. Now, is there anyone in this room doing profit first right now? Like, oh, I love your hand wave. Are you more profitable now? A lot more profitable? You paid off 3 cars in 1 year? It's fucking awesome. And you're more profitable than ever before? You bought a car. I bought it. I don't remember buying you a car this quarter. He says, I bought him a car this quarter. Oh, okay. So if I bought you a car this quarter, could you return the car to me? I would like it back. Yeah, I'm good. I'll trade a car for a book in a heartbeat. Yeah, that's awesome. Everyone else doing profit first? Just tell me your story real quick. The woman in the back, I'm pointing at. You take profit shares. How many profit do you do quarterly? How many profit distributions have you taken? Oh, so you've only taken 4 consecutive quarters of profit distributions. That's a shame. As you've run your business before doing profit first, have you ever taken quarterly profit distributions? Oh. So you've never taken a profit distribution in your entire life of that business. How old's the business? 3 years. So over 3 years, so for 8 quarters of running the business, never took a profit distribution. You're now doing profit first, and you've taken only 4 consecutive quarters of fucking money out of your business. That's awesome. That is awesome. All right. So, yeah, I'm proud of you. All right. I'm going to teach you how to make your business permanently profitable starting today. It is absolutely guaranteed. And I'm going to set the bar so low that you have no excuse not to do it. And sadly, Mike and Rob have been coming to this event for years now, teaching this. And sadly, some business owners in here may have seen me speak before and still aren't doing it. And it's a living shame, because I hope you understand you will never grow your business healthily if you just live in trying to breathe in more oxygen. We need to start giving it nutrition. And here's how you do it. We're going to flip the formula. God, the fan up here, like, what is going on? What is this place? All right. The traditional formula, what we're told is how you make profit is sales minus expenses equals profit. Just by a show of hands, and I know you guys got big, strong hands, everyone raise your hand. Are you familiar with this foundational formula? Just raise your hand, right? Thank you. Good. Everyone. Good, because this is the foundational formula for profitability. It's taught in every single class. It's taught in every single book. There's thousands of accounting books about this, and quite frankly, we use it in our vernacular. We call profit the bottom line, right, or the year end. And here's what I'm going to tell you about this formula. It's fucking bullshit. It is a lie. It's an absolute lie, and it's crushing businesses. There's a reason that 83% of businesses are not profitable in our country. The SBA conducted a study. There's 180 million small businesses. That's $25 million in revenue or less, according to the SBA. 180 million small businesses in the world, and 83% are not profitable. That's true in the U.S. too. There's 28 million of us. And I suspect many people in this room are under $25 million in revenue, which means statistically, 83% of us are surviving check by check. That's the normal survival for 83% of businesses. And if your business is profitable, congratulations, it's the person to your left and to your right that's not profitable, statistically speaking. And the reason, I thought it was me, my own businesses. I've been an entrepreneur for 23 years now, 24 years. The first 12 years of my life, hand-to-mouth survival. We got to make some sales to support our expenses. I was stuck up here. And the reason we get stuck up here is because this formula tells us this comes first. It is behaviorally wired into us, Maslow's hierarchy, caveman mind, is wired into us. What comes first is a priority, and what comes last can get delayed, right? You love your family? I'm sure everyone here, hopefully you love your family. Unless you have the weirdo dad, then maybe not. I hope you love your family. I strongly suspect you don't go to your family or your friends and say, I proudly put my family last. No, you say, I put my family first. If you have a health scare, you're going to say, starting today, I'm putting my health first. What matters most always comes first. And what comes last can wait. It's the manana syndrome. The bottom line. What else do you call bottom? Bottom feeders? My friends are bottom feeders. Bottom means insignificant, ignore, and avoid. And so this formula teaches us sell as much as you can, and we don't like to use the word expenses. We like to use growth. Sell as much as you can and grow, which means spend a lot of money and you better make more sales to grow. We stay focused on here, profits last, and it never happens. In fact, my own business, I remember meeting with my accountant, my first company, the computer company. I met with my accountant after 4 years of putting in more and more money, refinancing my house, struggling to survive. After 4 years, he shows me the income statement, and at the very bottom was a number, 15,000, circled in a big red marker. He said, Mike, you've been working your business for 4 years. So proud of you. You had your first profit, 15 G's. I felt the butterflies building up. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. There's only 2 things I want in my life. It's profit and to meet Lou Ferrigno, who I'm not going to be meeting now. But because he's coming tomorrow, I felt the butterflies building up. I'm like, this is awesome. Profit. And then I asked the question I regret. I said, Keith, where is that profit? Thank you, because that's what Keith did too. He started laughing. But he laughed like an accountant laughs, where they start laughing and it reverts to snorting awkwardly. He's like, oh, that profit, that money. He goes, that's an accounting profit. He goes, that money's already spent. You don't have any of that money. And it was like a dagger going into my heart. Profit in an accounting sense is a number that can be manipulated for tax purposes and others. There's a very famous company that I worked with that was profitable until the day it went under. Enron was wildly profitable until they lost their 100,000 employees. What I'm going to share with you is a technique to make profit baked into your business. And we're going to do it very simply. And we're going to talk about our definition of profit, where profit is cold, hard cash at the end of every quarter for you to take a distribution and buy a car or buy multiple vehicles or do whatever you want with it. And it's real simple. What we're going to do is change the formula to say sales minus profits equals expenses. And this is how it works. This, by the way, if you look at these two formulas, whoops, that's the dad right there. If you look at these two formulas, we've been told sales minus expense equals profit. I'm simply flipping the variables. I'm putting profit first. Hence, we call it the profit first method. We're putting profit first. This is called a variable swap. If you're familiar with basic mathematical terms, what I'm saying is you have sales, you immediately take a predetermined percentage of that money as profit, and what's left over is expenses. Every time you have a sale starting today, take a small percentage or a large percentage of that money, hide it away from your business as profit first, and then your business will tell you what's truly available to run expenses. We don't have time today, but there's a whole behavioral reason called Parkinson's law, and maybe you can ask the people that are doing it of why this works. But when more money flows into our business, it's our human nature to consume more. Listen, I like chocolate chip cookies. I'm addicted to them. If you put 2 chocolate chip cookies in front of me, I'll eat 2. But I'll stop because there's only 2. If you put 15 chocolate chip cookies in front of me, I'll eat more than 2, right? That's how it works, and I know you're wired the same way. It's Parkinson's law. The more available a resource comes, the more flow of cash into our business, we automatically, subconsciously spend more of it. So every time a sale comes in, we subtract the profit, hide it from our business, and our business will tell you this is what you must run your business off of. And I know you're not going to be able to pay your bills and say, oh, I need all that money to pay my bills. When you do this and you can't pay your bills, your business is telling you you can't afford those bills. There's something fundamentally wrong with your business. Figure it out. Fix it. But don't keep stealing your profit. Oh, you guys want to, I'll cha-ching myself. Where the hell did I put it? Here, I'll cha-ching myself. But here, you can throw awkward punches in the air. Now I lost my train of thought. It was it was the best part of the speech and I lost it, Mike. So I guess we're done now. It's all over. It's over. Now, I threw myself off. Here's the deal. To set this up, it's real simple. I challenge, I'm going to set the bar so low, so freaking low that anyone can do it. I found, by the way, to make magnificent progress, you start with small steps and just keep moving the steps going. So here's the easiest way we found to implement profit first. I challenge you, every single person in this room, I'm already disappointed because I know the vast majority sadly hasn't and won't, but I think you guys are warriors, maybe you will, is that when you get back to your offices next week or whenever you return, immediately drive over to your bank, set up one savings account. Yes, it will take a half hour or an hour out of your life to make you permanently profitable. It is well worth it. Drive to your current bank and set up one account, savings account, and nickname it Profit. There's your hour spent. Then, step number 2, every day going forward, take only 1% of your income. 1%. If you take a $10,000 deposit into your business, I'm saying take $100. That's 1%. Because I know this, if you can run your practice off of $10,000, you can run your business off of $9,900. It's inconsequential. But what's highly consequential is the fact you've stored $100 in your profit account. Cash. Cold, hard cash. We have well over 150,000 companies in the world now doing profit first. Hopefully 150,100 after today doing profit first. And what we found is that when you start taking 1% and you start allocating that bank account, every time you log into your bank account, you're like, whoa, I got a little profit there. And what if I did 2% or 3%? And the muscle starts to build. You're not going to get rich overnight. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. But you're going to have a principle and process to be permanently profitable. That's how you address profit. Someone better fucking cha-ching me on that one, Mike. Okay, there we go. Who's gonna do? Don't raise your hand. Don't raise my hand because I'm gonna raise my hand. Who's really gonna do it? Okay, there's one person, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Oh, now everyone's like, okay. If you raise your hand, I just want you to look at it for a second. That's a fucking commitment. That's a commitment. Thank you. This is not a game. It's not like, speaker guy, get off the fucking stage. This is a fucking commitment, Mike. If you commit to something, do it. It's called integrity. You've committed to yourself to make your business permanently profitable. This will do it. If you need help with it, Mike will put you in touch with me. I'll walk you through it personally. Just do it. And you're welcome. And you have colleagues here that have done it before you. One with a Hulk hand. Okay, let's keep going on. I got to check my notes. Is that right? All right, next one's called order. Most businesses, I don't know, has anyone read the book E-Myth? By the way, any E-Myth readers? Great book. It's the Bible for business. I did a keynote along with Michael Gerber, the author of E-Myth, in Monterrey, Mexico, about 5-6 years ago. After the event, Michael and I went out to dinner, and I told Mike, I love your book. Michael, I love your book. E-Myth, I said I have one problem with it. The concept is don't work in your business, work on your business, which is a powerful concept, and you need to take it to heart. I said my problem is when I read the book, I thought it would switch one day, that if I just stuck in my business long enough, that one day I'd be working on it. I don't think it's a switch. I think it's a throttle. And Michael Gerber across the table looks at me and said, fuck you. That was his response, because that's how Michael Gerber rolls. And he goes, you know what, good point. And we actually had a conversation and became an inception for my book called Clockwork. And this is how it works. I believe there's actually 4 stages from working that in to on, and I call it the 4 Ds. I think we need to move from doing work to designing outcomes. And this is how it works. There's 4 Ds associated with it, and I believe we throttle through it. First D stands for doing. I believe overall 80% of your business time needs to be spent doing work. Not your personal time, but your business's time needs to be doing work. If you're a solo practitioner, which probably no one in here is, 80% of your time should be doing. I worked with a lot of solo practitioners when they're starting their own, their electrical contractor or whatever. They do 99.9% doing. They're always, installing, setting things up, and then 0.1% are trying to get invoices out or something, and they're back to doing. Way too much. I found often as businesses grow, though, the owner continues to be doing work. I got my 10 technicians, but I'm also the lead technician. We're doing too much doing. So ultimately, you want to just monitor your business. How many people are doing work? And doing is delivering your service or product. It's the support infrastructure too, marketing, all those activities that allow your business to operate is called doing. The next level is called deciding. Deciding is where you bring on that employee and you tell them the outcomes. I'm sorry, not the outcomes. You tell them the expectations you have. You assign them tasks and make decisions for them. I hired my first employee in my most current business. Her name was Jackie about 10 years ago. I hired Jackie. Well, I was doing invoicing because I started off as a solo practitioner in this new business. I said, Jackie, your job is going to be to do the invoicing. She says, you got it, Mike, no problem. I said, this is how we do it. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Go. She came back a minute later. She goes, hey, one step you didn't tell me about is how we sort people. Should we sort by last name or first name? And I sat back and said, oh, you know what? We do sort by last name. Let's stick with that best practice. I made a decision for her. A minute later, she comes back. She goes, Mike, do we bill in 15-minute increments or hourly, or how do you want to do that? Something I never thought about before. So I'm like, oh, let me make a decision. She came back constantly with questions. In the first couple of weeks, I'm like, she's a learner. She wants this stuff. After 2 months, I'm like, she's an idiot. She really is an idiot. She can't figure it out. Jackie is not an idiot. This guy's the idiot. All I was doing was giving her decisions. And that's the natural tendency of many business owners. And the reason is, it serves our ego. I'm the superhero for my business. I swoop in and save the day. I can answer any question. I'm all-knowing. And for our employees, it's the best thing to do. If your employee comes to you and asks a question, and you give them an answer, they can do no wrong. They can do no wrong. If Jackie does what I said and it gets messed up, I'm the idiot. She's just following instructions. And if she does well, she follows protocol. She gets a bonus. It's in everyone's best interest, except honestly, it's not in our best interest, because at a certain point, you can't make any more decisions. You hire that 3rd, 4th employee, and you're not doing any work. All you're doing is answering this, putting that fire out, answering that. Can you relate to that? You're stuck in the deciding phase. There's a Hindu goddess. Her name's Kali. I don't expect you to know the name, but maybe you've seen this figure. It's a female head with like 8 or 9 arms, kind of swooping around like an octopus. That's what our business becomes. A single brain, your brain, controlling all these parts. I think it's 94 or 95% of businesses in the U.S. have under 5 employees. And the reason is because the owner's trying to control everything. The owner is the biggest the biggest roadblock to the business's growth. The only way to grow out of this is to go to what's called the delegation stage. And sadly, most businesses think they're delegating and they're not. This, by the way, percentage of time should be about 2% of your time. When you bring on employees and stuff, you do need to make decisions and so forth for them. But you very quickly, as the entrepreneur, your goal is to move to delegation. And this is how it works. So our goal is to move this way. Delegation is not the assignment of tasks, how many people qualify it. Delegation is the assignment of outcomes. And it's a significant difference. I used to tell Jackie, do this. That's an assignment of a task. Do the invoicing. Now what I said when I started delegating, say, Jackie, it's important that we bill our clients timely and accurately. And do you understand why that's important? Jackie says, well, if we bill our clients timely, that's fair to us. We get our money faster. And if we bill accurately, it's fair to them. We're representing their work appropriately. That's why we need to do it. I said, exactly. And I said, we have a best practice. I gave her a system, but I said this. I said, Jackie, when you're doing that system, if you have any questions, if you have anything that needs to be decided upon, it's your job to decide. I hired you for what's on that shoulder of yours, that brain of yours. So if you have a question, answer it yourself. So what did Jackie do? 10 minutes later, after delegating the work to her, she came back into my office and said, I have a question for you. I said, before you ask me a question, what's your answer? And that's what you need to do. Force the answer back upon your employee. And I suspect many people in this room have been trained that and still don't do it because the superhero ego wants to do the quick answer. It's faster, it's easier. And it's the worst thing we can do. Because the second you answer their question, you go right back to the deciding phase. You start moving your business backwards. So I said, Jackie, what's your decision? This is the best. So she said, I have a challenge with how we're sorting invoices. We had so many clients at this point. We've been sorting by people's names, their last names. We're getting duplicates and so forth. We need a new system. I said, well, what's your decision? Now, here's the key around this. You have to push the decision back on your colleague, but this is the most important thing you can do, and sadly, I've never saw it taught before. The most important thing you can do as a true business leader, true delegator, is to support all decisions, even the bad ones. And that's what people miss on. Jackie came back to me. She said, Mike, we got to sort out our clients in a new way. How should we do this? I said, what's your decision? Pushing it back on her. She said, well, I think we're going to sort by middle initial. We're going to sort our clients by their middle initial. Thank you for laughing. Because I started laughing inside and then started kind of dry heaving, and I bit my tongue so freaking hard. I said, oh, that's an interesting approach that I've never thought of. I said, let's do it. Let's do it. And I made sure I made no eye contact because she could see my eyes. I'm like, let's do it. She's like, you're okay? I'm like, I just have diarrhea all of a sudden. And she went back and she started sorting our clients by middle initial. 1 week later, Jackie came back to me and said, Mike, I want to tell you something about our new system. I said, yeah. She goes, it sucks. She goes, I can't find anything. I said, really? She goes, I made a new decision. I've decided that we're going to use an encoding mechanism. We're going to use the person's initials in a 1, 2, 3 kind of number sequence. We used to use it. That was 8, 9 years ago. We still use that system today. It was a great system. Here's the power of what happened in that moment. If I said, sorting by middle initial, Jackie, are you freaking kidding me? That is the dumbest idea ever. Here's what we should do. I'm going right back to the deciding phase and owning it. I'm compromising my assignment of her making decisions. I'm not delegating anymore. I'm not empowering her. So when they make a bad decision, you got to let them kind of own it. Thank you. You got to let them own it. And sometimes your business will get a little bit burned, but the gain is huge. Jackie, that day forward, is so emboldened to just own stuff. And she makes mistakes all the time, and she fixes them quickly. And you know who else makes even more mistakes all the time? Us motherfuckers. Us entrepreneurs. How many times do you screw up? All the friggin' time. Have you fired yourself yet? Oh, you have. Yeah, you have. Good job. I haven't. I'm like, it's okay, Mike. You're just an idiot. Keep going. That's what they do for our employees. Because then they become empowered and own the business. Decisions are being made constantly, including wearing pig costumes to a trade show today. And they will learn from it. And I am biting my tongue, even though I'm bitching and moaning here about it. Hopefully they don't see this. I'm biting my tongue, but I will tell you we're a more powerful organization tomorrow because I didn't insert myself and have to save the day again. My company's running without me. And if you truly delegate, about 8% of your time will be spent in the delegation phase, you will move to the most important thing a business owner can do, and that's called designing. I better start wrapping up. Designing. Here's how designing works. Designing is where you realize your goal is to have clarity on an outcome for your business, a vision, monetary, tie it back into your personal goals, feeling, culture, all those things, and then choreograph the resources of your organization to make that vision a reality. That's the key of designing. It's clarity on where you want to go, but it's choreographing all the resources around you. Who are the resources? The obvious one's the employees. The less obvious one is your technology. The least obvious one are your customers themselves. They are resources. How do you make them work on behalf of you to get where you want to go? A lot of companies do it today. You may have noticed about 20 years ago, before the internet came about, if you ever ordered something, you had to use catalogs. You'd like flip through this page. You'd then call. The person on the other line would say, what's your address? And you'd say, I live on 12 Fern Hollow Street. And they'd be like, did you say 12 Burn People Street? Like, no. And they misenter it, and they spell your name wrong, and how frustrating it was, packages missing. What did those companies do? They said, with the internet, we'll make the customers enter all the data themselves. Fire the data entry people, and they'll do it themselves 1,000 times a year, and they will love it. And we do. We sit there, I'm making an order. And we love it because we know it's accurate. That's choreographing resources. Even your customers can be channeled to the outcome you want. But if you don't have clarity on your vision and you don't organize the resources, you won't get there. And I told you the best way to do it earlier on. What is your vision for your personal comfort level? Make sure the business is structured around that, and then we'll elevate it. But then choreograph your resources like your colleagues by asking them what their personal visions are. What's their dreams? And then order their dreams to be consistent with the vision you have, and they will race toward it. There's a great book called Dream Manager. I actually don't even know who the author is, that teaches you the technique to understand what your employees want and motivates them individually and how you walk a path together to get to your grand vision. Whew. We got 8 more minutes, Mike. All right, so let's go on to impact. Let me see what I got here real quick. Did you text me, Mike? Hold on. Get the fuck off stage, he wrote. You got 3 minutes. I got the note. And I will respect that, Sensei. Mike and I did get in a fight once. He will tell you later. I'm the only person. Does anyone know that story? Oh, good. So Mike will tell you. Mike is a triple black belt ninja murderer. And I was in a group with him, and I got in a little fisticuffs and actually beat him. And he's still humiliated from that embattlement. So why don't you share that story later? Just quick stories, because I literally have 3 minutes. In the impact stage, this is where you move from transaction to transformation. I'll just give a classic example you've heard of before. Most businesses are selling transactions. If you flew here, if you didn't fly Southwest, you flew probably on a transactional airline. They completed the task, but you're not like, this is the best airline ever. If you flew Southwest, there are people that are major advocates for Southwest. Southwest is doing the exact same thing as everyone else, except they entertain you. Go on a Southwest flight, and the jokes come rolling down the aisle. Everyone's entertained. It's a big entertainment fest, right? You flew Southwest? Were they joking around and stuff? Yeah. Not on this flight, because they're getting a little bit serious. But that's transformation. If you can invoke emotion, not completion, but emotion, a positive emotion, you've started to enter the transformational stage. So that's that point. And legacy is where the company is no longer dependent upon you. That the company now lives on into perpetuity, and you realize that you are simply a steward for the business. You may be given life to it, but it has its own life, and there's pride in that. Does anyone know the founder, I should say, of Coca-Cola? Yeah, right? I'll tell you this, it wasn't fucking Dr. Pepper. I don't know who founded it either. I don't know who founded it. But here's the thing. That owner, that founder, set up a legacy business. His impact or her impact, I presume, was around giving joy or cancer, one of the two. But but they wanted to give joy. That's at least how they define it. And they set up a structure where it can live on forever. That's the definition of legacy, is where the business has no dependency upon you, and you actually don't even have relevance to the business. And that should be your most prideful thing. I wrote a book called Profit First. This is my final story before we wrap things up. I went to an event. This is about a year ago now. And what I realized as a author and doing a lot of speaking that I've trapped myself in doing work, whatever that doing stage was. I trapped myself in doing work because I got to deliver every single speech. That's when I had the epiphany. I said, oh, what if I simply give my speeches to other people to teach it? Because it's not about me, it's about getting the knowledge out there. So there's 30 or so people that are Profit First speakers. I've trained them, I've showed them, but they've made it to their own stories. One woman from Arkansas, Cindy Thomason, the most lovely, calm person in the world, decided that she wanted to embrace speaking as a Profit First speaker, specifically for the e-commerce community, something she is passionate around. She's a major keynoter now at all Amazon conferences and so forth on Profit First. I was invited out because of the popularity of the book to keynote an e-commerce event. I walk in, I came early, I sat in the crowd, there was 1,000 people in the room, and people don't recognize me, so the person's like, so what do you do? What e-commerce business do you have? I said, well, I'm not in e-commerce, I'm an author. And I said, oh my gosh. He goes, before you say anything, there is this book that is so freaking good. You've got to read this book. And I love to read books. I'm like, what is it? He goes, it's called Profit First, right? So the ego's like, oh, that's my book. And so my ego's like, oh, wait till the big reveal comes out, I'm like, here it comes. And and he goes, shh. He goes, the author of this book is named Cindy Thomason, right? And then my ego goes, right? And I'm like, oh, let me tell you a whole story. But then, and this is the moment I found that I haven't mastered legacy, but I first felt the first tingling. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, the ego starts going, whoosh, and it got the biggest it's ever been. I was like, oh my gosh, Profit First is now beyond me. I can leave the planet. At least I'm not planning to. Just note that. Not yet. But I can leave this planet, and Profit First, I think it's going to continue because of Cindy and John and Sean and all these other people have adopted it. It is now beyond me, and maybe it's got a real shot of being a legacy. That was the moment that became a game changer. I want you to know the work you do is really fucking important. You're making money, and you need to make money. You've got to be profitable. You need your sustainability. You've got to organize your business. But I want to tell you, if I was Lou Ferrigno, I could do this in like one move, but I'm not. There we go. What I want you to know is that this stage, these first 3 stages of your business is necessary. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You must master these things. And as your business grows, you will revert back down and have to shore up the foundation. These stages are about what you get. And I'm telling you, there's a saying, if you want to get, you have to give. Give to get. You've heard that before, and I'm calling bullshit on that one too. The only way you can give is if you get first. You need to have a healthy business that has consistent sales, predictable profit, runs on automatic. Because once you master that, then you can move on to the greatest element of humanity, which is contribution, which is giving. And the giving happens up here. Every person in this room has a responsibility to be ridiculously wealthy. And I'm not saying F you rich so you can show off whatever. I'm saying you have that responsibility because that translates into you serving the world. So fucking step up and let's do this. I don't know why I'm getting pissed at the end. I want to finish with one thank you to these 2 gentlemen. These guys have done it, right? You've seen the pictures of they're working in a truck, in that little beat up brown truck with no windows, like a bunch of perverts, giving out candy to children. Did they tell you that part? The candy to children part? And then all of a sudden, these 2 guys, they say, oh my gosh, we can establish a legacy. And you've done with CEO Warrior. I've been coming here for 5-6 years. It's a privilege to do this with you guys. I appreciate you having me. And in the recent years, when they moved in this building, they set up a little room in the back where it's coincidentally Mike said, hey, Mike, you want to get excited for this event? Well, let me put you in our room to prepare. And I noticed they used to have a beautiful American flag back there. But it wasn't there today. So this is kind of interesting. If you guys would come up, I bought you something, and maybe we can just reveal it real quick for you guys to put in that room back there. I'd like you guys to hold it up. But I'm a big believer that I think if you're from the U.S., I think our country has established perhaps one of the greatest legacies ever because the founders, and maybe you do know their names, set up something that could live on without them. And I think that's what you guys are doing by serving all of us. So this, my friends, is for your room back there. This is from, yeah. So, this here, you guys can hold it. You'll see. I did put a little love note for you guys in the back. But this is from a barn in Tennessee that fell down. There was a Tennessee barn that fell down, and the maker of this captured the wood there so it can live on as a legacy. So, guys, thank you. I hope you love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So everybody, one more time. Let's hear it.
Shit!
Come on, let's hear it for Mike Michalowicz.
Woo! Thank you. Yes! Woo! Thank you.